Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed. The world of AI is moving at lightning speed, fundamentally changing how we consume information online. We're seeing a rapid evolution in how large language models, or LLMs, digest the web. This raises a crucial question for anyone with a website. How do you effectively communicate your content to these powerful AI systems? Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into something that's been buzzing around the web. The LLMs.txt file. You might have heard whispers, seen discussions on LinkedIn, or even wondered if you should implement it on your own site. Our mission in this deep dive is to cut through all that noise. We'll explore what LLMs.txt is, why it might initially seem like a smart move, and most importantly, why expert opinions and real-world observations suggest it might not be the silver bullet some hope for.
That's right. We've gathered insights from various sources for this deep dive, from search engine journal articles quoting Google's own John Mueller, to direct observations shared on LinkedIn by people working in the field, and even announcements from major WordPress plugin developers. Our goal is to give you a comprehensive understanding so you can decide if this is a tool you should be considering, or if your efforts are better focused elsewhere. It's really about weighing the potential upsides against the very real downsides.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is LLMs.txt?
Well, in simple terms, it's a proposal. That's key. It's not an official standard yet.
Right, just an idea being flirted.
Exactly. It's for a brand new content format standard. Think of it as a special stripped-down version of your web page designed specifically for AI.
Stripped down how?
The core idea is to give LLMs just the meat of your content, a curated version formatted in Markdown. And it only includes the main text. It aims to strip out all the other stuff, navigation, ads, sidebars, footers.
All the noise, essentially.
Precisely. So it's meant to be a cleaner, AI-friendly feed. And it lives right at the root level of your website.
Like example.com LLMs.txt.
Yeah, exactly like that. Simple location.
So the thinking is pretty straightforward. An LLM doesn't need to wade through your menus or your ads. It just wants the article, the core information.
That's the logic. And, it's really important to clarify a common misconception right away, because this distinction is crucial.
Okay, what's that?
A lot of people hear LLMs.txt, and their mind immediately goes to robots.txt.
Ah, okay, but they're different.
Totally different. Robots.txt tells bots what they can and cannot crawl. It's about controlling behavior, controlling access.
Right.
LLMs.txt, though, is about providing content to LLMs.
Yeah.
It's not about blocking or allowing access in the same way. It's a fundamental difference in purpose.
Got it. Provide content, don't control crawling. And you mentioned it uses Markdown.
Yeah, Markdown language, which is, very simple, very readable, uses things like the hash symbol, hashtag for headings, and a minus sign, X for lists. Easy for machines and humans to parse, theoretically.
Okay, so we understand what it is. A proposed standard Markdown format, main content only, different from robots.txt. But why bother? Why would someone actually implement this? What were the arguments for it?
Well, the perceived benefits really boil down to optimizing for this new era of AI consuming content.
Future-proofing, maybe?
Kind of.
Yeah.
If you believe AI models are going to be a primary way people get information, then giving them a perfectly clean, dedicated stream of your content seems like a potential advantage.
Makes sense. And who was really championing this? I remember hearing Yoast SEO got involved early on.
They did. Yoast SEO, obviously a huge player in the WordPress world, was a prominent advocate. They actually built support for LLMs.txt right into their plugin.
For both free and premium users.
Yeah, for both, which made it super easy for millions of sites to potentially generate this file with just a few clicks.
So what were their main selling points? Why did they tell people to use it?
Their claims were pretty direct. They said it helps AI tools understand your site better. The idea was it guides LLMs, like ChatGPT and Gemini, straight to your most relevant stuff.
Okay, better understanding. What else?
They also claimed it highlights your key content automatically, because their plugin could supposedly detect important pages or ones you've recently updated.
An easy setup.
That was a big one. No technical setup required.
Yeah.
The plugin generates the file and refreshes it weekly, apparently without you needing to do anything.
So easy, automatic, helps AI understand. Sounds appealing.
Definitely. And they framed it as a way to future-proof your website for AI search. Basically, get ready for how information discovery is changing. Position yourself ahead of the curve.
That's a pretty compelling narrative. But was it just Yoast pushing this, or was there any sign that AI models were actually, using these files?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. Yoast wasn't alone in seeing potential, or at least activity. There was a LinkedIn post from Raymond Martinez, he's VP of SEO at Archer Education.
Okay, what did he find?
He shared this observation from his team. They were looking at server logs across several domains and claimed they saw OpenAI, specifically OpenAI's bot, requesting their LLMs.txt file.
Requesting it. How awesome.
Consistently, every 15 minutes, he said, across multiple sites. He really emphasized the regularity of it.
Wow, every 15 minutes. That sounds significant. Did he think it was proof?
He certainly seemed to interpret it that way. He used phrases like no longer theoretical and the crawlers are real and active.
So direct evidence of a major player, OpenAI, actively looking for these files.
That was his take. He called it a new kind of signal and suggested that getting your content surfaced in LLMs might actually depend on whether you're providing these systems with a complete picture via LLMs.txt.
Okay, so that's the pro side then. A major plugin makes it easy, positions it as future-proofing, and then you have an expert reporting real-world server log data suggesting OpenAI is actively using it. That builds a pretty decent case for why you might want to implement it, right? Give the AI what it seems to be looking for.
Exactly. It paints a picture where LLMs.txt could be a genuinely useful tool, a direct line to the AI models.
But, and there's always a but, isn't there?
Yes. There usually is.
Because this is where it gets really interesting. While you have Yoast promoting it and Martinez seeing activity, there's this completely different and frankly pretty skeptical perspective coming from huge players like Google and also from the wider SEO community.
That's right. The counter-arguments are strong, and Google, specifically through John Mueller, has been quite vocal.
What did Mueller say? I know he weighed in.
He did, multiple times. For instance, someone asked if LMOs.txt could be considered duplicate content, which is a valid SEO concern. Mueller said, technically, it would only be duplicate content if the content were the same as the HTML page, which wouldn't make sense, assuming the file was useful at all. So he kind of dismisses the duplicate content issue, but hints at a bigger problem.
Which is?
Well, besides saying it's not duplicate, he then immediately recommended using noindex for it could make sense.
Noindex. Why would you noindex a file meant for bots? That seems counterintuitive.
Exactly. His reasoning was that sites might link to the LLMs.txt file itself, and if Google indexed it, it could show up in regular search results, which, he said, would be weird for users.
Weird is an understatement. So Google's worried about it polluting search results, even while questioning its primary purpose.
Precisely, the big red flag. Suggesting noindex basically signals a lack of faith in its intended use for AI, while also trying to prevent negative side effects in traditional search. And he specifically said noindex, not blocking via robots.txt, because blocking it would prevent Google from even seeing the noindex tag.
Okay, that's a subtle but important technical point. But what about its actual usefulness for AI? Did Mueller address the core claim?
Oh, absolutely. And this is probably the most damning assessment. He directly compared LLMs.txt to, wait for it, the useless keywords meta tag.
Ouch! That's harsh in the SEO world. The keywords tag has been ignored for decades.
Exactly. It's about as dismissive as you can get. He explicitly downplayed its usefulness. He's basically saying it's a relic, or destined to be one, just like the keywords tag.
Why? What was his reasoning? Did he address the reports of bots requesting it?
He did, and directly contradicted Martinez's observations. Mueller said, AFAI, as far as I know, none of the AI services have said they're using LLMs.txt. And you can tell when you look at your server logs that they don't even check for it.
So Google's official stance, or at least Mueller's strong opinion, is that major AI services aren't using it.
That's what he stated. A direct contradiction to the idea of widespread active crawling by major LLMs like OpenAI.
That's a massive point of disagreement. If the big AI players aren't actually using it,
then what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Mueller raised that too. He questioned the redundancy of the whole thing.
redundancy.
Yeah. If a bot, like Googlebot or an AI crawler, is already downloading your full HTML page, which includes the content, plus maybe structured data like schema.org.
Which gives context, too.
Right. Why would it need a separate simplified markdown file? The bot would probably still need to check the original HTML anyway, just to verify things, check for spam, you know.
That makes sense. It seems like extra work for the bot and extra work for the website owner, potentially for no gain.
And speaking of spam, Mueller highlighted another major risk.
Which is?
The potential for abuse. How easy would it be for, let's say, less scrupulous publishers to put one version of content in the LLMs.txt file, maybe something optimized or keyword stuffed for AI, and show a completely different version on the actual HTML page to users in search engines?
Ah, cloaking. A classic black hat technique.
Exactly. Mueller pointed out this risk, calling the whole LLMs.txt concept potentially too sketchy to trust.
Too sketchy to trust. Wow, that's a strong condemnation from Google. So they're saying it's likely ineffective, redundant, and carries a risk of facilitating spam or cloaking.
Pretty much sums up Google's take, yeah.
And it wasn't just Google raising concerns, right?
Mm.
What did the broader SEO community think? Were others seeing what Martinez saw, or was skepticism more common?
Skepticism was definitely more common. When you look at discussions online, like on Reddit, many people managing lots of websites chimed in.
What did they report?
Generally, they reported seeing little to no activity. One user managing over 20,000 domains explicitly said no bots are really grabbing these apart from some niche user agents, which lines up perfectly with Mueller's assessment about lack of adoption by major players.
So the anecdotal evidence from the wider community seems to contradict the specific observation from Martinez, or at least suggest it wasn't a widespread phenomenon.
It certainly seems that way. And beyond just the lack of crawling, others raise concerns about the user experience, even if it were used.
Right, you mentioned that earlier. What specifically was the issue?
Simone De Palma, another expert, discussed this on LinkedIn. He agreed that LLMs.txt files seem largely ignored by #AI services and offer little to no real benefit. But he also hit on the user experience point hard.
What was his take?
Imagine an AI model uses the LLMs.txt content to answer a query and then provides a citation link. A user clicks that link expecting, a normal web page.
With images, navigation, design.
Exactly. Instead, they land on this unbelievable wall of text. Just raw markdown, no design, no links back easily, nothing. It's a terrible user journey. He pointed out these files don't link back to original URLs properly for a user context.
That's a really bad experience. You click for more info and get a text dump. That alone seems like a huge reason not to want this widely adopted in its current form.
Absolutely. And that sentiment was echoed by many. On LinkedIn, quite a few people responding to Martinez's original post questioned his findings. Some suggested it might be confusing causation correlation. If the bot was requesting it for some other reason. Others were more cynical, even calling it potential rage bait.
So lots of pushback. What was the general advice from other SEOs then?
The consistent advice was basically focus your energy elsewhere, spend time on things we know work. High-quality content, good site structure, proper technical SEO, like robots.txt, sitemaps, and especially structured data using schema.org. These are established ways to help search engines and AI understand your content.
And just be clear, LLMs.txt isn't the way to control if your content shows up in snippets or AI answers?
Correct. That's a totally separate thing. If you want to prevent content from being used in Google's AI overviews or regular snippets, the correct tool is the data no snippet HTML attribute. LLMs.txt doesn't play a role there. So yeah, the community consensus really leans heavily against LLMs.txt having much, if any, real utility right now.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. What does this mean for you, the listener, sitting there with your website? Let's summarize the core findings of our deep dive. On one hand, LLMs.txt is this proposed standard. The idea behind it providing clean main content to LLMs sounds kind of logical at first glance. You've had prominent advocates like Yoast making it easy to implement, framing it as future-proofing. And you had at least one specific documented observation from Raymond Martinez suggesting OpenAI was actively requesting these files at one point. That's the pro side.
Right, that builds the case for potentially using it. Easy implementation, possible direct line to AI.
However, the con side seems, frankly, much weightier based on our sources. You have Google, through John Mueller, being highly skeptical.
Extremely skeptical, comparing it to the useless keywords meta tag, which is about as bad as it gets.
And Google raises serious concerns. Lack of adoption by major AI services, directly contradicting some observations, the redundancy of it if bots already crawl HTML and structured data, and critically, the potential for spam and cloaking, making it too sketchy to trust.
Yeah, those are significant objections from a key player.
Plus, you have the broader SEO community largely reporting they don't see these files being crawled widely. And then there's the potentially terrible user experience if an AI did cite the raw LMS.txt file.
That UX point is a big one, too. Landing on a wall of text is just not helpful.
So the evidence leans pretty heavily towards LMS.txt being, at best, an unproven concept with limited adoption, and at worst, potentially problematic and a distraction from more effective strategies.
I think that's a fair summary. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole LMS.txt debate really highlights a recurring tension, doesn't it? It's the tension between proposed new standards, often pushed by specific vendors or enthusiasts, and the established functional ways that search engines and AI already interact with web content.
That's a great point.
It really raises a fundamental question for publishers. Instead of chasing every shiny new .txt file proposal, how can you truly future-proof your site for AI? Maybe the answer lies in focusing on the robust, ethical, and proven strategies. We already have great content, solid technical SEO, rich, structured data, things that serve both human users and bots effectively now and likely into the future.
So focus on the fundamentals that benefit everyone, rather than a specific format that seems largely ignored and potentially flawed.
That seems to be the most sensible takeaway from the current evidence. Stay agile, keep learning, but invest your primary efforts where they have proven impact.
That's a powerful thought to leave you with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the hype versus reality of elements.txt. We hope this helps you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of AI and the web. Keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.